What do you think about mindfulness?
I think it's super helpful. I think mindfulness is important, but a lot of times it's like overdone.
I think mindfulness is something that I'm not very good at, but that I aspire to be good at.
I love it.
I think mindfulness is an important practice that all people should have.
So I'm very skeptical. I think I'm skeptical because I feel like people really sort of push it on you.
I think I say the word a lot and it kind of has become somewhat meaningless.
I think mindfulness is a really valuable tool to help ground ourselves and be present in the moment.
Mindfulness for me is to be here in every second of our time and enjoy that moment. Be there and enjoy that moment.
It's really about becoming aware of how you are relating to any given moment. So, how are you relating to your thoughts? How are you relating to your feelings? To the person across from you, to a situation, to a job, to a crisis, to trauma.
Sometimes we feel emotion, sometimes we feel sad, sometimes we feel lonely. Be there for that and don't deny that, accept that in that moment.
To notice, just to notice. And that's really hard for people. We do, me too. I want solutions, I don't want to just notice it. That sucks, So it's
letting the outside do all the things that it needs to do. We can't control that, but we can control how we feel on the inside.
So it's really a process of becoming more and more aware and feeling like you have more and more choice on how you want to respond to some of the things that are happening in your life.
It allows us to just be, kind to ourselves first, to take whatever comes from the outside and even what bubbles up on the inside and really deal with it in a manner that, allows us to, focus on it.
I introduce myself as a social worker, but probably the role that I'm most proud of and that has also been most challenging and rewarding is being a parent for 26 years. And we have 3 kids, and one of them has severe autism and an intellectual and developmental disability and bipolar disorder. He's nonverbal, and he has a lot of behaviors. And so with that came a lot of commotion in the family. He was very fond of screaming at all hours of the day and night, tantrumed a lot, lots of self-abuse, hospitalized for that several times, and just needed round-the-clock care. I became pretty hyper-vigilant, and so because I was the primary care provider, it really took effect on me in a lot of different ways, but I lost a lot of weight. I didn't sleep much. I had a lot of chronic stress-like health problems, so it was just a really, really stressful time. And at one point I felt like it wasn't sustainable. I didn't think I could manage it. And someone told me about mindfulness meditation. And I took a 9-month class, and it saved my life. And so I became such a fan, and over the years of practice, I decided, I'd really like to teach this. I'd really like to spread the word. Like I said, it has changed my world. It's my foundation, and it gives me the balance I need. It gives me perspective. I can rest on it when I need it. So it's been good for me, and it's been good for our family. So.
Early 30s, I had 2 children. I was working full-time. I was running a publishing arm of a company for the software industry. And I was working really hard and living really fast, drinking a lot. I'd always drank, using a lot of drugs. More of the drugs to keep myself going. So it would be like amp yourself up with cocaine or some other stimulant to get through the workday, to get through your partying, and then go to sleep and start it all over again. And Like I mentioned earlier, you know, my father passed when I was younger and I was 21. And I just didn't want to lose my kids. I ended up getting sober on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th. I always remember that day. And I was doing okay with it. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not. And I ended up playing basketball. And I had just got my wisdom teeth taken out, and I got hit in the jaw, and my jaw got broke. And they said, you can't play basketball, you can't mountain bike, you can't lift weights for a few months. And somebody said, our friend Patrick just started a yoga studio. You should go practice yoga. I started going, and it just resonated with me. I started practicing every morning at 6 a.m. I started like going and just taking it full bore. I was like, this is speaking to me finally. It really paired well with being sober because I finally started feeling, and sure I had some guilt because I had done a lot of things in my life that I should have been guilty of. But I also was able to create who I wanted to be. And yoga helped me with transformation.
Mindfulness is born from Buddhist practice, you know, and it's when the Buddha got enlightenment, and he practiced mindfulness meditation, and he's the root teacher that all that come from India, and North India, and then it's passed down to many generations of the practice. Mindfulness is not a religion. It's not a dogmatic. It's an energy. It's a practice of life, how to live, how to enjoy the present moment in life. Everybody, regardless of who you are, can enjoy the practice of mindfulness. It's a universal energy. The Buddha discovered that and lived with that. But it doesn't mean it's not there. Before the Buddha become a Buddha, it's there. But the Buddha now get in touch with that energy and live that and become an example. Is a pioneer of that. That's all. So you don't have to be a Buddhist to practice mindfulness. You can be a Catholic, you can be a Christian, and you can be a Muslim to practice mindfulness. You can be Jewish to practice mindfulness. Because this is an energy.
I don't think anybody isn't healing from something. It's such a great tool to allow us to heal, to, you know, take care of ourselves first. Invite those feelings in, sit with them for a little while. What are they going to teach you? What do you need to see from them? How can you heal those things? And then ultimately, you can move on with your life. You can eventually let go.
The world will benefit from mindfulness if we're able to use it in that way, because it will cause less harm on a daily basis.
That path is the best path that I can ever make in my life. And I really enjoy every day, you know.
But then we start really recognizing the benefits of mindfulness and being able to let it resonate outside of our body, into our conversations with others, into our actions with others, the way we work in this world.
The more mindfulness you have, the strength of your mindfulness, the more joyful you are. Joyful you are, the more smile is born on your face.
We learn to be present. We learn to be kind to ourselves. We learn to hear each other, to be aware of what people need beside us. And, you know, we become a lot more selfless.
Do you have a personal mindfulness practice for yourself?
Yeah. So I don't have a practice necessarily.
I do.
You know, given what people have said about it, I probably do.
Not like a significant or more, you know, detailed one.
I do have a mindfulness practice. I just don't practice this as often as I would like.
I definitely use it.
Not really, no.
I don't right now. I always start the semester with a mindfulness practice and then it kind of wanes out.
Most people have to start with mindfulness with some type of movement, like getting in some flow state. That could be whatever it is, you know, drawing, dance. Like I love I love moving my body. Weightlifting, I feel like that's such a common thing that people do, like going to the gym.
The mindfulness practice comes though doing the poses, being very confident in how you move the body in a safe and strong way.
For example, you take a walk of mindfulness walk, and you enjoy every step that you make, tread on the earth. And that's not about religions. It's to walk, to enjoy that step, to be in that moment, to get in touch with the ground, get in touch with the mother, so that you don't feel like you left out, you don't feel like you're lonely, you don't feel you isolate. If you are in touch with the earth, and the earth is there for you, and you're aware of that, and you give rise to energies of appreciation and energy of gratitude to the earth, and with that mindfulness step. So
people a lot of the times are doing mindfulness practices and they don't even realize. I think they think it's mindless. Actually, they're like, no, but my mind is so empty. It's like, no, I actually really love doing that because I'm just like not thinking about anything. I'm like, right, you're in the moment.
Sometimes people just talk about mindfulness, and I talk about mindfulness meditation, and it really is two kind of different things, but they're very interrelated and interconnected. So the best way, in my opinion, is to be mindful is to have a meditation practice. And that meditation practice can help you teach the mind how to come back to an anchor, like the breath or the body or whatever anchor you're using, over and over again in a kind and compassionate way without judgment, and saying, hey, what's up? And are you okay? And so this meditation practice then leads into how do I use that in my everyday life.
So I use my breathing as a point of anchor. So every time for example, I have a strong emotion, so I just take a deep breath and slow in react to what is happening. Just come back to your breathing. And that kind of breathing practice is helped to balance out the energies.
When I first started, it was looking more like, I think, what a lot of people imagine when they think about mindfulness practices, which are yoga, meditation, like a seated meditation. Now, I practice it when I'm cooking or by just doing something that really gets me fully present.
And for example, mindfulness cooking, right? So you cook with mindfulness and you enjoy the cooking, and the energy while you cook, the mindfulness energy is going to the food. And then your children, your partner, someone eats, and they become more aware of what is going on in the food. The food is more tasty. And then that's become healthy. It's called medicine, right? Mindfulness medicine.
Finding a way to stay mindful every day, to me, that is the practice right there. We really want to, you can get into it as a fad, but to stay with it is really hard because we get busy. We have no problem checking our social media every day, but it's like, can you say your prayers? Can you do your meditation? Can you use your mala beads that look so fashionable and count off all your blessings as you go all the way around it? What a great metta type meditation for it.
I think people think it's like really has to be this big deal, right? Like it has to be in this setting, it has to be all the elements have to be perfectly set up, it has to be quiet, it has to be this, it has to be that.
But yoga, I always say, saved my life. The practice of yoga, the mindfulness of being able to be, not feeling so much guilty, not feeling so much anxiety. When you're a cocaine user, you have anxiety all the time. Good, you have guilt all the time. Other people have it and they don't even have that substance abuse. And it's like, that's a life that I had to get out of, because I don't think I would be here sitting here 18 years later if I hadn't helped heal that part of me. And I will attribute that to yoga any day. I fortunately get to volunteer a lot with people who are recovering from addiction, and I tell them that all the time. It's like, whatever tool you have, you got to let go of that guilt. You got to let go of that anxiety, because that's what will eat you up. So I am just thank my stars every day. And gratitude is just such a huge part of mindfulness and yoga. It's like we live in gratitude We say thank you over and over again to the blessings in our life, because that's the fuel that keeps us going. That lets us know that that's who we need to be, that's how we need to live, and that's how we can take it off the mat and into the world.
I came to meditation really believing that if I meditated, I could escape the stress. And so that's what I did for, I think, a couple of years. I literally disassociated. So as he was, yelling and screaming and tantruming, I sat on the couch and I gave 50% of my attention to him and 50% of my attention to my practice. And that just gave me enough stability that I could function. And that I wouldn't internalize all of that stress and come out on the wrong end. I slept better. As time went by, I learned different strategies. So I learned different breathing techniques that would help me go back to sleep if I was up, because he did wake up a lot, kept me awake a lot. And I learned that I could calm down my nervous system if I used some of these mindfulness techniques. And it worked. Not all the time, but it worked. And I also, learned that and practiced a lot that if I did mess up, if I did make mistakes, if I did lose my temper, I was much quicker to recover and find some forgiveness, because part of the practice is recognizing that none of this is very easy.
My favorite, even if I am meditating and it's more of a structured practice, my favorite meditations are when there's so much going on around me, because the whole purpose is to just notice the things that are going on around me. And so if I'm in a really quiet space and it's the perfect conditions for meditation, my mind is going all over the place, which is fine. To notice that is also a part of it. But I get really grounded when I'm just wow, I'm hearing birds chirp, that's distracting, or I'm hearing cars driving by, and I'm just noticing everything that's happening in that moment, just being present with the moment, with whatever it is.
So I like to say, start with a meditation practice if you can. Start slow, 5 minutes a day, for 5 days a week for 5 weeks, and see what that feels like for you. If you don't have time and you only have time for a breath or two, then be consistent with that breath or two for 2 minutes on a daily basis, because consistency is more important than, the quantity of time.
Yeah. So meditation on the cushion is part of that. It's easier, but once you are in the space of meditation already, you can do everything. It's become mindfulness.
A lot of the times post-pandemic, actually what my mindfulness practice looks like is noticing that I'm not noticing. It is less, I'm so present right now, and more, wow, I'm really present that I'm not present right now.
Everything you do. You lying down, we call total relaxation, sleeping meditation. Yeah. So anything that you can apply the mindfulness into it. Cooking, while you're doing cleaning the dishes, while you are or cleaning the toilet, making the bed. So all that is about mindfulness.
I think the biggest misconception is exactly what I was sharing about my own mindfulness journey, is that it needs to look this one specific way. They
think yoga is Lululemon pants and everybody standing on one leg for an hour, and it's not. There are so many different ways to find yoga.
Any practice, there is some kind of misunderstanding. If we don't really practice, then we have some misperception about that.
That it's easy, that it's hard, that it doesn't work, that I can't do it, that I don't do it right, that there's a particular way to do it, that it fixes everything. I think those are all misconceptions and reasons why people don't continue to do it.
I think the misconception is it can't be for everybody. And yes, the class I teach sometimes probably would not be for everybody. It's definitely something that people would be more advanced in their postures. But I love teaching classes where it slows down a lot and we're moving just very mindfully and we're really turning it into a breath practice. So maybe you're on the mat, maybe you're in a chair, maybe you're like standing, and it's like to get them to move their body just a little bit allows you to feel the benefits, to get that blood flowing in the right way, to feel the balance, to feel the muscles working beyond just, straight ahead with everything we do, driving, sitting at a computer, sitting in our chair, bad posture. And I'm just a huge fan of how the alignment, the way we set ourselves up can allow you to, get healthier through digestion, through your blood flow, through your lungs, through your mind.
Whatever their hobby is or whatever gets them in their flow state, and if you can apply that and like give them that access to that perspective of that's mindfulness, that's why you like it so much, then it can be for everybody.
I would never say any intervention technique is for everyone. I would say that this is for a lot of people. I like the idea of incorporating it into workplaces and wherever you are.
So I think anybody can find something that can help them. One of my favorite things is chair yoga. It's like, the senior citizens who continue to move their body, it's like, it's just gonna keep you healthy and happy throughout your life. I recommend anybody who is younger to at least start finding a basic movement because I think it can help them as they repeat things at their desk or driving and such. But even more so, that brings you into the mindfulness state.
They say, oh, this isn't for me. I'm just so bouncy. My thoughts are everywhere. I can't not think. But that's not what it is. It's not thinking. It's knowing what you're thinking about and how you're thinking about that thought or that emotion.
Are you worried about vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, burnout, those kinds of symptoms?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talk about it all the time.
I am worried just because I've already experienced some burnout.
Oh yeah. I think not to be judgy, but I think probably everybody worries about that, and it'd be weird not to.
I'm super worried about compassion fatigue and burnout, so
I am worried about all three: burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious trauma.
I am mostly about burnout.
Yeah. Like a lot. Yeah, I feel like it's what I think about most, honestly, of I know people that through similar degrees or social work specifically get into the field and last a year or two, because it's just too much.
I think of compassion fatigue as what does lead to burnout. And it's very real. And, a lot of people I know teach in the teaching profession, I think it's 5 years that teachers feel burnt out and want to leave the profession. And I bet it's not much better for social work. So mindfulness is self-care. It's recognizing when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling exhausted, recognizing when there's numbness or anger, and then allowing that, not fighting with it, but saying, wow, this is what burnout feels like, this is what exhaustion feels like, and then feeling it in the body. I'm so tired, I can't keep my eyes open, or I'm so angry and it feels like my stomach's in knots. And then being able to sort of step back from that and say, what do I need?
It's crazy because a lot of people I know who are such great carers and helpers for others, they're very good at taking care of other people, but sometimes they don't want to be selfish and they don't want to be really in tune with the things they need.
The first step is to be mindful. How are you going to ask for what you need if you have no idea what that is, if you're so disconnected from your body and from the present moment, how will you know that you need something in that moment if you're not able to catch the signals or catch the moment of being like, I need something? So you can't ask for it if you can't notice it first. Everything starts with noticing, right? Just noticing is the mindfulness piece. The rest of it comes after.
We're in the helping field. We're supposed to be the ones that are experts at balancing and regulating and being there for people and understanding. But if we can't turn that on ourselves, if we can't use those same practices for ourselves, it is a sure road to burnout, and you'll have to quit. You know, you'll have to leave the field because it's just too much.
So I think it's very important as a social worker, social service. You know how to practice mindfulness, and you become less reactive.
My favorite things a teacher told me, and I've been blessed to have so many teachers over time, it's like a wellspring of compassion that you build in here. And you build that compassion up, and then you share it with others. And then it comes back into you like a fountain, just constantly rolling through. And it's like, more I can give, the more I can take back in. We inhale what we need, we exhale what we can serve. And you keep that rhythm going constantly in your life. When there's blockage, sometimes you get blocked, you get caught up trying to force something on somebody. Sometimes you get caught up with your own stress and, anxiety. Then that well gets stuck. But if we can keep that rolling, it makes a difference, for sure.
Sometimes with our clients, there's just so much pain and struggle and inequity and inequality, and just it's not fair. It's not fair. And so we, being in the helping field, think there should be something we ought to be doing to help, and yet sometimes we feel very helpless. So I think it's practicing that equanimity that, yeah, this is hard, this is a struggle, no one deserves this, and it is what it is, and I'm here, and I'm going to hold this space for this person so they can hopefully walk through that circumstance with me.
If you want to regulate your emotions, you're not going to be able to do that if you're not mindful about it. If you want to have interpersonal effectiveness, you're not going to be able to do that if you're not mindful. And so a lot of the times people really want to work on those types of skills. Like, I want to be able to tolerate distress, I want to not be freaked out by or totally dysregulated by this thing that I know isn't a big deal, but I just keep getting super dysregulated about it.
I have a friend that said, I'm not going to breathe my way out of this one, and or mindfulness isn't going to work for this. I'm really stuck. And I'm like, yeah, I know it. I know what you mean. And it's a start. It's a foundation. And we've got to calm that. We've got to calm the nervous system down if we want to change anything. And one of the best ways to do that is through a practice, mindfulness or meditation or whatever you want to call it.
I use the word mindfulness, and I have found that they are resistant to it. So I'm probably I should probably stop using that word, or because yeah, I get it. Honestly, I get it. And so usually I just say that. Usually when I'm using it and I know that they're resistant to it or they're having their opinions about it, then I usually just name it. I'm like, yeah, I know it sounds so cheesy. I work with teens. I get called cringe all the time. Literally, especially when I'm trying to have them do a mindfulness practice, I'm like,
it doesn't have to be something where you name it and say, hey, we're going to do a mindfulness practice, or hey, let's do some meditation. It can be a very gradual exposure, if you will, and you don't have to name it.
And the more we can get it out there, the more we have people breathing together, we have people caring for each other and going back into that service for others. So yeah, I think we can all get beyond those misconceptions, because it's a practice that can really make us all healthier and happier.
What I realized is that it's more about being there and truly listening. And people know when you're there, And when you're compassionate and receptive and not judging, and that's healing.
I welcome everybody who sees this to just look for places you can help people. That's where you discover your superpower. It's such a great feeling.
So I think just to kind of have that sense of we all want the same thing, it just looks a little different, and then we can maybe better understand each other and be a little more compassionate and less judgmental, and maybe the world turns a little bit more easily, and maybe we can enjoy the world a little bit better.
The more mindfulness you have, the strength of your mindfulness, the more joyful you are. Joyful you are, the more smile is born on your face, right? And you enjoy more light and more deeper of life. Because mindfulness makes your life more deeper. The meaning, the quality of your life much deeper.